Hi there, welcome to this fifth video in the yt-napari tutorial series. I'll be covering how to use the doc widget reader in this tutorial. We'll step through how to load regions and slices from yt datasets into Napari interactively, and then in terms of requirements, we'll be using the same Python virtual environment that I set up in the first video, so hop back to that one if you need a hand setting that up. And we'll be using the deeply nested zoom dataset, one of yt's sample datasets that you can grab from the data page at ytproject.org/data. And thanks again to CZI for funding this tutorial series. Okay, so here we are in the terminal. Let's activate our virtual environment. And first thing, we will actually make sure that yt-napari is up to date. Recently released bug fix release, so just want to make sure we have that down here, and looks like we did have it. Great. And so let's start up Napari. So here's our Napari window. So our interactive reader plugin, you can access through the plugins menu, yt-napari, yt-reader. So this is this reader will allow you to load in spatial samplings from a single yt dataset. And so first thing, so overview of kind of what's in the widget over here. So you specify the file name for the dataset you want to load, and then we'll specify whether we want to add regions or slices, and walk through how to use all of these different buttons. So first off, let's select a dataset. So I will go down and find my deeply nested zoom. Grab the top level file there. And let's start off by loading in some 3D regions here. So you decide between regions and slices with this drop-down menu. You click to add new selection to add in a new selection object, for which you add a field type and field name you want to load. So we'll just load the gas density field here, and then the bounds of your rectangular selection, so left edge, right edge, which have default values between 0 and 1, and then the resolution at which you want to sample the dataset. And we'll just leave all of that there for now. You can add in multiple selections, so you add a second selection, add a gas temperature, and let's sample the same region here. So let's not change any of those. When you add in, so after you start adding selections, it'll populate this drop-down menu here. So if you select one of your selections that you've added, you can hit this delete selection to remove that field if you no longer want it. And then once you have your selections set to the parameters you want, you just hit load selections, and in the background it'll go and actually load in the yt dataset and do those samples and add them to the Napari viewer. And just to make sure we're going, you can see in the terminal we get our standard yt output, and we've got our image layers now. So we have our gas temperature, gas density fields. Let's modify the color maps that we're using here. Oh, let's just keep temperature red. Yeah, so our gas temperature field is on top, so that's what you're seeing right now in the 2D view. You can adjust the opacity of that top one to blend in with between the two layers if you want, and then as usual you can switch down to the 3D view and toggle between our density and temperature fields. So this deeply nested zoom dataset has this interior region that's at higher resolution, has more grids, it's sampled more finely. So let's say we want to add another region that bounds that interior region, so that we can kind of refine how well sampled that region is and take advantage of the higher resolution. So we can do that by either modifying these existing layers and then hitting load selections again, or you can delete them and add new ones. So let's actually just add a density sub-selection here. So we'll keep gas density, and then let's go from 0.3 to, actually let's go 0.4 to 0.6. Oops, 0.4, 0.4, 0.6, 0.6, 0.6. And didn't mention before, but the unit field here could be any length string that YT would recognize. So if you wanted to give your lengths in megaparsecs, you can do so, but we'll just specify code length. And then when you hit load selection again, it'll go through and just resample the data set for your updated bounds. And cool. So let's switch our new density to use the same let's see, the same color map. We're using plasma here, right? And so when we initially load these in, you see that the color maps don't quite line up because these two layers have different ranges and values. So we can link these layers first and then normalize their contrast limits a bit. Let's actually drop that a little. So I've just adjusted the lower end of the contrast limit to really pull out the network of high density within the data set here. And then let's go ahead and unlink these now that they're normalized relative to each other. And so now when you click and unclick the viewer for the higher resolution sample, you can kind of see how since there was data available at those finer grids within this higher sampled region, our density field actually refines quite a bit between the coarser whole domain sample and the inner high resolution sample. Great. And then switching back to 2D view, we get our standard 2D view where you can move the slider to slide through the third dimension here. And so yeah, so that's how you add regions. Let's delete our regions here, and let's delete that as well. So adding slices follows the same convention. Give it a field type. You also have to specify your normal vector, and then the slice center and the width. So let's do a width actually of 0.4, and then the resolution of your slice. And go ahead and let's just load that slice in. So this slice through the center of the domain, single plane. You can nicely see the transition from the coarser outer grids to the nested grid levels in the interior. And just like before, you can add multiple slices to cover different fields or different regions and get composites of different fields. That's covered a lot in some of the previous videos, so I'm not going to go into details here. And one final note on kind of just how this works in the back end. So you notice this clear cache button. So when you hit load selections, the data set that you load in will be cached by the yt-napari plugin, so that when you reload so that when you resample data sets, for example, you're adding, if we have these 3 slices all sampling the same data set, that data set won't get reloaded. It'll just pull that data set from the cache. If for some reason, you're adding multiple data sets and you want to actually clear out those cached data sets, you can just hit this clear cache button, and subsequently when you load in the same data set, it'll reload from scratch. Yeah, so that's a quick overview. Drop down for region slice, add them, adjust what you want to add, and hit load. So thanks for watching. The next couple videos will be a bit longer and go into more detail on some other topics. So stay tuned.